Oh, that's hot. Oh, that's hot.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
Welcome.
This is Nothing's Wrong podcast, and I'm Isabel.
And I'm Catherine. And tonight we have a special guest.
Yes, we do. But before we introduce her, make sure you guys are sharing and liking this video right now, this live right now, because we're going to get into it tonight. You guys already know the deal. Get on all the social medias, Nothing's Wrong podcast.
Right.
And
also, if you would like to support the channel, you can also hit up our Cash App. It is $Nothing's Wrong Pod. And we are going to get into a lot of things. So if you have Fly Girl, we got our Fly Girl here today. And we have Miss Trina Nicole. We're so excited to have her. So make sure you guys are liking this because we're excited, and she's going to, definitely keep us updated on a lot of things that you may not even know about in regards to health-wise. So, and as well as being a fly girl and doing fly girl things, you know?
And shout out to Tone Deaf, TDR Network. You can also catch us on there. He actually helped us set this up with Trina, so we're excited. So if you want to listen to other podcasts that's similar to us, definitely check out TDR Network.
So thank you so much for tuning in, like we said. So we're excited. Trina is here, and we're going to be going into a lot of things. Make sure you guys have any comments, write them down below. Be involved tonight because we love when you guys are involved because that just helps us out. And we do have a guest. So do your thing, do your due diligence.
Yeah, and I think that it's important for us to keep on having these conversations. If you were with us last week, you know that we had a great conversation with Jackie and just talking about the woman's journey and what we all go through to live our dreams and do the things that we want to do. So Trina Nicole is back in here. Let's see if we can get this together.
Yeah, I can hear y'all now.
Okay,
great. Let's get the show started. Thank you so much, Trina.
So do you want to introduce yourself to the people that are in the chat? Well, anybody who's in here?
Yes. Well, first of all, hey, Fly Girls.
Hey, girl.
So I didn't hear the intro, but my name is Trina Nicole, aka Fly Girl with Fibro, and I am just on a mission to help people as I'm on my own healing journey. I'm hoping to take other people along with me. I'm an author, blogger, podcaster, speaker, mom, a little bit of everything.
That's awesome.
Jack of all trades, queen of all trades.
Queen of all trades. There you go.
All right.
And we're the ones who can usually do all of that because women are the best multitaskers.
Right. 100%.
But
okay, let's hear it.
Here's the thing about that. We always wearing the weight of the world on our shoulders, right? And at some point, that's going to catch up to us. And that's how where all of this got started.
Oh, let's hear. We want to hear it, girl. We want to hear it.
Y'all want the tea now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Fibro, for anybody that doesn't know, Fibro is short for fibromyalgia. So what that is what they call in the class of like invisible illnesses. So it is thought to be overactive nerves that causes pain like throughout your body. For me, it started, I get migraines really bad. It started like with this back pain, and sometimes it's my hands, my joints, just everything hurting. And nobody could really pinpoint or tell me like, why is my body hurting? Like what is causing this? They tested me for arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, all these inflammatory diseases. Everything is coming back negative. So then finally, after like meeting with a few doctors and a physical therapist, and they finally narrowed it down to, okay, we think that you have fibromyalgia. So, I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, okay, so what is this? Is it curable? Like, how do you develop it? Is it genetic? Like, where does this even come from? I've never heard of this before. So the thought is fibro can be onset by stress, by trauma, maybe by genetics, maybe a combination of everything. So when I really sat with that, I'm like, oh, okay. Like at this point, I'm 29, 30 years old. you know, and I'm I have 3 boys, and I'm like, okay, I can't just be down for the count. Like,
right.
But, you know, like I said before, wearing all that weight of the world on, I gotta be mom, I gotta be, you know, a corporate employee, I gotta be, you know, get them everything that they need, sister, friend, auntie, best friend, you know, all these titles and everything that we wear. So all of this is always on me. But when does Trina have time to take care of Trina?
Right.
So, really, you know, a lot of my platform is self-care and self-love. Like, you'll hear me talk about that all the time, because how I see it is, well, maybe had I learned these things, or had I learned what self-care and self-love really looks like, I wouldn't be at that time 30, now 36 years old in chronic pain.
Right.
So that's really kind of where all got started, me just trying to figure out how to live with this. And then, you know, just to educate others. And I always say, like, my mission, I feel like I'm here to educate, empower, and enlighten others.
Right.
Awesome.
So what is the treatment that they gave you when you found out you got this diagnosis? What did they tell you that you could do to ease your pain?
Yeah.
So here's the thing with fibro. It is not one size fits all. So it really, you know, it's a matter of being, first of all, being proactive. You know, the thing is, and I don't know how familiar you or your watchers or your listeners, but there's definitely like health disparities when it comes to particularly Black women, right? Because our pain isn't always believed. Why? Because everybody thinks that we can take on everything.
Right.
And, girl, you shouldn't be in no pain. Like, suck it up. You got to keep going. And partly that's on us too. You know, kind of feeding into that stigma. But, you know, like I said, being proactive, there's medications on the market. I've pretty much tried everything. I didn't like the side effects. I'm like, I don't like how this makes me feel every day. Like, I got to the point, and I told my doctor, I said, I think I'm at the point of, I'm not really trying to prevent the pain. I'm going to handle it as it comes, because the medications were just that bad. So there's really no one set treatment plan. And I talk about that all the time. It's really kind of on us to figure out, okay, what's triggering me? What's sending me into what they call a flare up? So how I describe my flare ups is, you know, the feeling of like you're coming down with the flu, like how your body, you're just like drained and like achy. And I'm like, okay. So that's how, for me, that's my body's way of like, girl, it's time to sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. So that's how the trigger comes out. It comes out and just your body will give you that alert, and then you're like, time to decompress, time to
you're doing too much. That's, to me, my inner voice, she kind of ratchet. Like, girl, it's time to sit down somewhere.
We have Tone Deaf in here. He says, my favorite fly girls. Hey. Tone Deaf.
Thanks for setting us up.
We're so excited. We have Ibrahim here. You ladies look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Shireen here, watching from Boston.
Hey, Boston.
Thank you guys. Yeah. So, did you want to say something? Sorry, I just wanted to show.
No, I think so. You finding all of this information out, and what are some like techniques that you use? I know that you're saying that, you know, you tell yourself to calm down. You have that in your head, but is there any, like, you know, specific diet that you're doing or?
Yep. So, one thing that let's say somebody that's newly diagnosed with this, you have to really figure out your triggers, as far as they do think that sugar, like all that artificial sugar and processed foods, you know, can play a factor. Your water intake, your sleep, all those kind of things that seem so like we should be monitoring that anyway, but it gets away from us, right? That's just like the hustle and bustle of life. So definitely me watching how much I have a sweet tooth, honey. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love chocolate. So, you know,
it's hard.
Keeping that in check, like, okay, I can't be eating all this, you know, processed foods, more fruits and vegetables. I mean, really, like that simple basic stuff that we should be doing anyway, but it's kind of like I had to take it up a notch. So watching what I eat, what I drink, I pretty much don't really drink soda anymore. That was like, you know, a big thing. Drinking more water. But as I'm doing these things, I'm like, okay, I think like I'm starting to feel better. My flare-ups aren't as bad or aren't as frequent. For me, heat helps. So like, I live in Wisconsin. Sometimes it gets below 0. So I'm always like trying to stay out of the cold, and like I have a heated blanket. You know, just so it's like I said, it's definitely not one size fits all. It's all kind of like, what works best for each person, even taking like hot Epsom salt baths just to like relieve that muscle ache and,
so it seems like you really like cultivated your own type of treatment. And like a couple weeks ago, we had a herbalist here, a holistic herbalist. Have you gone down that route towards, alternative medicine?
Yep, that definitely, yoga has helped me a lot. And it's been hard with the pandemic because I haven't really been in my practice like I want to, just because like I have to, having 3 kids, as I mentioned before, like I have to get out the house.
I can't believe you have 3 kids.
You don't look like it a bit. Like you look like you're in your 18, turning 21 looking.
Thank you. Beautiful. Yes, my oldest baby is about to graduate high school.
Oh, wow.
He's going to be 18 soon.
That is amazing. We're going to go into that. Like, if you're open to talking about like your children and like your love life or whatever is going on.
Come on.
So, okay, girl.
So going through all of that, I do want to kind of touch on this. I know it's like, okay, it's about health, but I do care about that part. 100%. And so is this like something that happens because all of the things is that like triggers it of what you said seems like common in most people's lives. And even like you said, even in Black women's lives, because we feel as though that's what we have to do. Is it like more common in Black women or Black?
Yep, it's very common in Black women, and this is more common than people even think. It's because a lot of us don't talk about it, right? Because when you look at me, you look like people like, girl, ain't nothing wrong with you. There can't be nothing wrong with you, right? So it's like the stigma of what illness is supposed to look like. So I think it's easier for a lot of us to just suffer through, deal with it, because we're not believed sometimes. I know even, when this first all happened, like people was like, girl, like, what are you talking about? Ain't nothing wrong with you. You'll be all right. Suck it up. Be a soldier. It's like, no, it's something going on here. So it actually inflicts 3 million people plus in the US alone. And a lot of them in my experience, and it might just be because of the type of events and speaking engagements. I have like a lot of Black women followers. So to me, it does seem like, there is a lot of us in particular that is suffering from this, but we suffer in silence. And that's partly why this even got started too, like me writing my book and coming up with this brand, because I'm like, I don't want us to have to suffer in silence. And I want my sisters in particular to know that it's okay to not be okay, but we have to take care of ourselves, because who else is going to do it?
Exactly. That's beautiful. I'm happy that you're actually, you took the time to check that out and understand what's going on so that you can be able to, help other women who are going through this, and even women who didn't even know that this may exist. Because I didn't know anything about it prior to hearing it from you, actually. And like Isabel said, it seems like a common thing that women may have. Like sometimes they'll have headaches, and but it's kind of often where they're like, but it's not often, but it is kind of like, and they kind of skip through it. Like there's like a mental part in their head that says, oh, okay, I'm gonna be okay, and then next week here it comes again. And so
so when I was saying like with this diagnosis, it's not one size fits all, because even the symptoms that accompany it. So for me, it's migraines. It's I'm gonna keep it real, dealing with high functioning depression. So there's like other symptoms, but I think we don't link it all together. We treat it as, okay, I get migraines, I deal with depression, I deal with this, not knowing like, oh, all of this is somehow interrelated.
Right. So when you got to the idea of writing the book, what did you want to convey in that? And what message were you really in the beginning before writing it? Did you even have this idea?
So that's the funny thing. Like, so I've always been a writer, but I'm more of a fictional writer, like, poetry and short stories and things like that. So I never thought about writing a book kind of about my life. But as I was saying before, when I really sat with what stress looked like for me, what childhood trauma looks like for me, and starting to put all those things together, I started journaling. And actually my journaling led to, me writing this book. But as I was saying before, like with the depression and our mental health. So what I feel like my personal definition of fibro, I think that is all of our pain, trauma, secrets, all of those things that we don't talk about, we don't share, we don't go to therapy because, you know, there's a stigma in our community about that. So we bottle all that up, right?
Right.
And hold it, and push through life. Some point it's got to come out somehow.
Right.
So for me, like, I think it started slowing me down because it's like, okay, girl, you got to deal with this. So what's going to happen is my body going to start shutting down and it's going to start coming out in this physical pain that I'm feeling every day. Right. But once I started, when we were talking about before, like, what does my treatment plan look like? My treatment plan also includes seeing my therapist because I need to address this emotional pain, this trauma that I've dealt with, you know, the stress of even just think about what we went through with this pandemic. Like,
right.
You know, like
that would be really hard to just even on top of all that you're going through. And it's like, and then the pressures of what's going to happen next and everybody's panicking. Right. And the anxiety kills a lot of people. It's really the stress of the world that we all take on, and we continue to feed ourselves this when we watch the news, when we're continuously just consuming more and more of our own death, really.
And I talk about that all the time. We have to be conscious of what we consume, and that's not just food and water. That's what's in our social media feeds, what's on the news, you know, consuming all of that. Because it's definitely going to mess with our mental and emotional health. And to me, ultimately affects, for some of us, our physical health. Now, I know that's like not the, you know, textbook diagnosis. I know it's more to fibro than that. But for me, it clicked. Like, me dealing with also my mental and emotional is going to ultimately help my physical pain. And it has been.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that 100%. All is mental. Right. I've seen it. I mean, I'm all for alternative health and medicine, and I've watched doctors remove tumors with chanting and mind stuff. So I'm all for the mental aspect of your health, because if we believe one thing about ourselves, we'll start just attracting that and manifesting that into our lives.
Right. Yep. That's
and me even tapping into my spiritual health, which people don't talk about too, but you know, just you know, having something to believe in, and meditation, and so all those alternatives that we're not ever really taught.
Right. But you know what's funny though? I was saying this the other day, because you know, people say a lot of things about Black women especially, and they come at the melanated goddess, I would say, and one thing we always do, we always find a way to like get back to ourselves and heal ourselves. We never depend on anybody to do that. More than ever, I'm seeing more women like you. Like we went through like a traumatic experience, something that, you know, changed the tone of our lives, or hitting rock bottom, whatever it is, to wake us up to the reality that we're living in. And it's like, once you hit there's like, then you just go up, and then you go up this ladder, Jacob's ladder, or whatever way you want to put it in spiritually. And it's like, we just start unlocking new levels of ourselves. And it's like, whatever kind of put us down is what actually ends up bringing us up.
That's true.
So we speak about trauma. So 5 years ago, my dad was actually murdered. So already dealing with, that relationship, and the relationship that we didn't get to have, that definitely, there's a whole chapter about my dad, and it was therapeutic to write that out, because I kind of got to say the things that I didn't get to say to him.
Right.
But even just dealing with that flood of emotions, and dealing with, you know, just death. And then actually last year, not even a year ago, my brother was also murdered. So
I'm so sorry. How did you deal with all of that? And still be able to sit
smile
and be in pain physically?
Right.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. It's day by day. I'm not gonna lie. I think definitely with the pandemic, so many of us struggle with our mental health, and partly Fly Girl honestly kind of got put on the back burner in 2020, because I'm like, this is too much. You know, my depression, my anxiety, and then that happened with my brother, and it really just kind of, you know, took us all for a loop, you know, and So I think it is partly like trying to constantly have like a positive mindset, and that's hard to do. And I'm not gonna ever sit up here and tell y'all like, yeah, every day, girl, I'm like, it's positive. No, there's some days I'm like, I don't feel like getting off this bed.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie, some days I'm like, y'all gonna have to fend for yourself. Y'all, I buy stuff so they can make them. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that's okay.
And that's what I was about to say. It's okay that you can't do it. And it's actually good that you know when to say, I need a timeout. Because I'm not going to kill myself on the court or in this game of life. I'm going to take a timeout. And I'm going to do what I got to do.
Yep.
And I think that you even bring it back up, like before, when you said that, you know, we do as Black women, period, women in general, do carry so much things on our backs. Like, you just hit the straw with your dad and your, you know, and your brother, and you're like, and the pain that you're going through, other things that's happening. And you're like, you know what, I do need to take a break. Kids, do fend for yourself. And it's important that you taught them how to fend for themselves. And, you know, it's amazing, but also it's both a trauma and a way of like elevating your whole family at the same time, because while you're down, your family's actually learning how to get up. So that we can make you happy, you know, and try to figure out a way to, you know, make it.
And I'm very transparent. I think too, for moms out there too, like being transparent with your children, and just letting them know, kind of like feeling like we got to keep everything from them. I mean, I don't, it's very surface level, but I just let them know, like, mom's not having a good day. Like, I don't feel good today. And I don't even have to necessarily go into detail why, but it's just like, mom's not feeling good today. Like, y'all gotta, you know, and not so much like fend for themselves, but they know how to come in there and make them something to eat. You know what I mean?
And they're happy for you to take that break, because they get to learn how to make some food, learn how to do things, you know?
And I believe children, especially the kids these days, I believe in the youth so much. They are so intelligent, like my nieces and nephews. I'm just astounded by how smart children are these days. But it's really because what they're going to take from you and your experience and how you deal with it is really going to shape them in their lives to be a better human, a better person, which is like what we didn't really learn. I mean, a lot of things that we are learning now as a collective, as individuals, it's like a lot of the things that were hidden from us. And now all of these things are putting out to the open, and it's like, okay, now our children are going to go excel past us. Now they have the tools that I didn't have. I mean, now you can look online and get business advice. You can get all of these things, all these tools are right here on Google, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram. And it's like, all you have to, I mean, not all you have to do, but for your children is just let them know, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to focus on this. See what this is. Do you want that? Instead of just giving them, you know, that one basketball dream or the, you know, the little dreams, or go into this system and go work for this company for the rest of your life. I think that's the beauty of it, is like them able to see, especially having boys, is like,
I really love that my kids, I say that they're learning to become like in tune, and that they're open to even like meditation, and we meditate, and like I have my crystals, and you know, I'm a moon child, I go by the moon, and
so you're talking to the right people. We're in the right tribe.
Yes, happy full moon. We just had a full moon, but they'll be like, Mom, it's a full moon. Are we gonna meditate?
Oh, okay.
Right. Because like we gotta do our children. Because you know, that's the beautiful part, is because we were talking about this, because we don't eat meat. And her daughter, I'm all telling your business, she doesn't eat meat either, or whatever. But I was just saying, like, you can literally train your children to do whatever you see fit, but like they won't know the difference. If your child never had meat or isn't used to doing that, and they only know fruits and vegetables and you know, healthy types of foods, what are they really going to think they're missing? What are they really going to think, other than this is what you say? So if it's like, oh, they're going to grow up knowing I meditate. Okay, I need to take my breaths. I need to, you know, take my time. I need to do some journaling. I need to get one with myself. You know, they're going to know that, you know, instead of like it being foreign and then they have to learn it, which is nothing wrong with that either. But
so what's so funny, like my oldest son, you know, he's out there, I mean, he's going to be 18 soon. So like, you know, dating and girls and all that. And I was telling him one day, I'm like, because he's super handsome. He speaks Spanish pretty well. And then as I like started introducing like crystals and full moons and like energy, and one day I was like, you know what? I said, these girls ain't gonna know what to do with you, because you're gonna look at him like, listen, girl, I'm not feeling your vibes and your energy.
And he gonna know what's up as soon as she says, so what time were you born? He's like, girl, don't play me. You ain't gonna read my natal chart.
He was like, no, Mom. I said, but I mean, you know how to read energy. Like,
yeah. And I'm sure he's a gentleman, right? You trained him to be a gentleman? That's good.
Yes. Oh, my boys are so sweet. We have our days. I'm not gonna lie. This pandemic, honey, being in the house with these kids all day, every day.
Right. Yeah. I know.
But we getting through it.
No, I know how you feel, girl.
So, like, let's kind of shift it a little bit while still on the same topic. So, dealing with all of that, do you have a guy in your life? Are you dating somebody that...
No.
I was like, hey, how you gonna deal with that stress?
I couldn't. No. Yes, I am a single mom of 3. Dating is for the birds, honey. I've tried.
What? You're still young.
Beautiful, gorgeous.
Girl.
We had a line of men waiting for you outside.
No, but see, here's the thing about that. When I try to like manifest and write down and say what exactly I want, where I messed up, I don't say I need someone that is healed and whole. A lot of these men are broken and they have healing work to do. And then they project that onto us. So,
and we ain't,
and you don't got time for that.
I don't have time. I can't be healing myself and heal you too, honey.
Right.
Like,
no.
And it's okay to
already healed.
Yeah, and it's okay to come to a situation where if you both recognize, okay, we still got healing work to do, and it's even something that we might be able to work on together. The problem that I've encountered is like these men don't even want to acknowledge that they have healing work, but then it comes up, in conversations, and I'm just like,
he's
right, a therapist.
Right.
Childhood.
But with people like that, I literally would just be like, oh, okay, what can I learn from you? Because I clearly can't go anything further with you. There's a reason why you're attracted in my life. So what's your story? What can I learn? Or what advice could I give you? Because sometimes it's just like, you're going to be like, oh, okay. Like you said, like, no, it's not going to work. And it's like, that's, I think, healthy for you to even say that, because some women will still just entertain.
Because they're lonely. Yeah.
No.
She was like, I got my kids for that.
Me involving in my own healing and recognizing like what it is that I need, want, and desire for my life, and knowing that it's okay for me to have that and not have to settle. Like, we don't ever have to settle. And I think, again, particularly as Black women, we do that. And we don't have to. We don't have to settle.
We definitely don't talk about settling.
No. We tell women to level up. We tell women that, actually know what you want out of your life, because if you're sitting here accepting a damaged man who hasn't cleared out what he wants to do in his life, those men, we don't even acknowledge those men here. We call them dusty.
Yeah.
Gone dusty that we back in I don't know how much older I am than y'all, but we used to call them scrubs. Shout out TLC.
Right, exactly. Scrubs.
I don't want no scrub, honey.
Right. And I feel like because so many melanated women are literally leveling up, loving themselves, doing everything that it takes. Last week we had Jackie on, and she was saying all the things that she's been working on herself and doing all this. And I'm like, we leveled up past the men. Like, it's like, you're not even, unless you're going to do the same work that I did, you're not even able to ride this ride. You're not even able to come over here. Cause it's like, I'm not going to do all this work on me to then have to deal with you. That's not, that's not a prize opportunity for me. That's worse. I was better off by myself. So,
listen, I can do bad all by myself, honey.
Okay.
Right.
Trying to put my charger on my phone, because I do not want my phone to die in the middle of this great conversation.
I know, right? So definitely. I love the fact that you know what you want and what you're not going to accept, because me and Isabel was just talking about that, how like it's time, because I had a conversation with this guy. He was telling me that, when I date women, when I meet them, I meet their representative. And then, a few months go by, then I'll actually end up meeting, the woman who they actually are. And then me and Isabel was like, why bring a representative? Just be yourself. And it's no longer time for women to accept or tolerate men who's entitled and that feel like, okay, this is
that
how it's gonna, this is how
gosh.
it's going to be. Are you this? Oh, he doesn't do this. He don't do that. And a woman's holding back what she doesn't do because he don't do this and he don't do that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that we should be doing that in this world.
No, we definitely shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Sorry, I'm trying to like just fix
No, I get it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But like you said, like that entitlement is like, I think that is the issues. And I don't want to say like, you know, what you're going through is partially the men's fault, but I do think because a lot of the men, especially the melanated men that are supposed to take on a lot of the roles that us women just take on fully, it's like these guys are not playing their roles, and now we have to play their role and our role, and then we end up in situations where it's like, now we're unhealthy, now we're breaking down, now we're in pain, and it's like, because you didn't do your role, you didn't fulfill your role, and that's, I think,
and then he walks away. And while you're going through all these things, in the beginning, he enjoyed you. He loved everything that was going on. And then as you are, you know, taking all these roles and then feeling the mental aspect of everything and the internal pain that's happening that we're not acknowledging. And then he sees all of a sudden like, oh, you're getting overweight. You're not too cute to me. I'm going to go see this other woman. And then
all this entitlement, like,
excuse me? Like, I don't know where we
So, I mean, me being 36, I'm like, okay, I'm closer to 40 than 30 now.
Yeah.
And I made a lot of mistakes in, you know, I mean, I'm be transparent. Like when you read my book, I do talk about the relationship with my kid's father, and that was on and off for 18 years. I mean, we have an 18-year-old. On and off. And it was a lot. And, but I try not to live with regrets, but I learned a lot. And I'm like, you know what? And if his purpose and his season in my life was for me to learn those things, I may have, because this is the thing, the universe going to keep sending you the same lesson over and over and over until you finally get it. And it took me a while. And 3 kids.
It's like, I finally get it.
But I finally, I'm like, okay, girl, no, this is not what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know, that stress and that, you know, it's like everybody got to bump their head and learn their lessons. But I mean, I learned a lot. You know, and I accepted that if his purpose in my life was to give me these beautiful boys, hey, that's what it was.
Right.
We take the lessons and we keep it moving.
Right.
That's all you can do. And I really like, I don't know who said this, but it was like, when you look at your life as experiences, then you learn. But if you look at them as mistakes, then you're just making mistakes. So it's like, if you're just like, well, that was an experience and I learned from that experience.
Right, exactly.
Moving on. Because I had to do that. I went through like probably like a year ago, where I had to like really reevaluate. I was coming up on, I don't know how familiar you are with like astrology and stuff, but like Saturn return. So it was like 28 and turning 29 and going through all that. And I had to reevaluate where I was in my life. And I was making decisions like, okay, I'm seeing everything now. And then last month, last month of January, I turned 30. And that to me was like, all right, you're back at zero. You're back at the starting point. What is it that, you know, you're going to take on the next decade of your life? What is it that you're going to learn? And like, literally, I just like unlocked a whole new level of my life. And I was like, I don't need to hold on to this relationship anymore. I learned everything. I don't need this anymore. I already let this go. I'm letting it go with love. I don't have no problem with nobody, but I'm like realizing like, why was this here? No, let's clean this out. I'm at zero. I don't want to.
Oh my God, isn't that like the most beautiful? I'm telling you, when I turned 29 going into 30, when I tell you such a self-awareness happened, I could never explain it. Because people be scared to go into their 30s. I'm like, I love my 30s. I'm like, I'm very self-aware. You know, again, I know what I will not accept. I know what I'm not going to settle for. You know, so it's just, you know, it's all lessons and learning and like you said, doing it in love. And when you do things from love and with love, you know, it's gonna work out. And then too, just you know, on a note of like releasing and letting go, that really happened when I really let that situation go with my kids. Listen, things just start falling into place.
Right.
I think I seen a post that said something like that on Instagram where it was like, women break up with a guy, 2 hours later, she started 5 businesses. She already got she went and did this.
Prime example right here.
Like,
I bought a house.
I got
a new truck. I'm like, and it's not even about material things, but just being able like, listen, I can handle this. And this ain't no shade to him. And we have a pretty good co-parenting relationship. And he read the book because I think he was nervous at first, like, oh, what's she write about me?
What's she gonna say?
I touched on it. I ain't go into as much detail as I could have. I touched on it. So he knows and is aware that I'm, that I talk about it. And, because it's my truth, though, at the end of the day. Like, anybody that gets mad about anything I say, that's my truth. This is what I live. That's all I can do is speak my truth. And it's therapeutic to do so. Like, just really, share your experiences. And you don't know who you could be helping.
Exactly.
I love that you kept it real, and you're like, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's for self. It was for to release all the things that you're going through and actually jot them down. And once you release it, like you said, amazing things started happening for you. You got your house, you got everything lined up for you, and you're here. We know you. That means you're doing something. Like you're actually putting yourself out in this world.
Where did this belief in yourself come from? Where you're like, I'm able to like push past my doubts, because I know a lot of people, even myself, like in my personality type, I have a tendency to be a little pessimistic and kind of put the fears of doubt in, and I shut myself down. But how did you get past that to like write a book and to do all of those things?
And I want to know your sign after you're done. Go ahead.
I mean, I am a Scorpio. My Scorpio is sun and moon and Virgo rising. So.
Oh, girl.
Okay. All right.
I see you.
I see you, Scorpio.
I see the darkness.
So actually, I'm a Scorpio Sag cusper though, because of how my birthday falls. Out at 11:41 p.m. on the last day of Scorpio. So I was minutes from being a Sag. So I do see a little bit of Sag traits creeping up in my sun sign, but I'm Scorpio through and through
too.
Yeah. The Scorpio probably enhances because your moon sign is in Scorpio too, but the Sag will definitely, especially if it's on that cusp. And if
especially because you're a speaker as well. So definitely got that Sag in you.
But go ahead.
Go.
I can't, you know what? I can't tell you how I really overcame any doubt, because I still have the doubts. You know what I'm saying? But I'm very much a person, I just try. I just go for things. And the worst thing can happen, okay, somebody could say no, I could fail, but I like the fact that, you know what, at least I tried. And I'm proud of myself for just trying. Even if it doesn't go exactly the way that I thought it was or how I wanted it to go. I own 2 businesses here. I had 2 boutiques way back before it was the thing to do in like 2008. I was 23 years old. I didn't know nothing about running no business or opening no boutique, honey, but I did it. And I'm like, okay, I only had it for a couple years, but what did I learn from it? It might not have been, a 6-figure business, but I did pretty well with it. And that was before social media really was even, could help me take it to the level.
Right.
So I think it's just like quieting that doubt. And just being okay with whatever the outcome is going to be. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to just do it. I'm going to start this podcast. I'm going to write this book. Who needs to hear it? Who needs to read it? It's going to get in their hands. It's going to get in front of them.
So you're talking about that. We did not introduce the book. Can you do you have the book on you?
Yes.
Yeah. And how we can get it. And
So actually, I got 2 things. So we're going to talk about the book first. So Fly Girl with Fibro. Everything is at Fly Girl with Fibro. So just head on over to flygirlwithfibro.com and you can find the book. But this is the book. This is my baby. It came out 2 years. I released it on my 34th birthday.
Awesome.
And I thought it was a fitting time for the space that I was in at the time. Just sitting, again, the book just was born out of me sitting with, okay, where did this fibro come from? What onset this? What is bringing this pain on? What is this trauma? And so when I talk about childhood trauma, for me, it was, and this is the thing, is like, we don't even realize how this stuff is going to affect us, or even if it is, or that we even remember these things. But for me, it was witnessing domestic violence in the home, between my mom and my dad. It was us packing up in the middle of the night. My mom, like, you know what, I gotta save my life and my kids. Like, we gotta get up out of here and leave. And I still remember that road trip in the middle of the night. She packed all our things in garbage bags, and we ended up here. So dealing with things like that, my dad being in and out of jail my whole life, and then eventually, you know, him being murdered a couple years ago. Then getting into the relationship with my kid's father, and just like, so all of these things, these heavy things that I just started writing. I started journaling. So like I was saying before, the intention really was never to write a book. But as I was just writing and going through this, I'm like, maybe this story is going to help somebody else.
Right.
And so many women that have read, I get so many messages of women just like, thank you. Like, you've inspired me. This is my story. You're telling my story. And it's crazy how many of us have so many similar stories. And I know I haven't been through probably as much as, you know, some women have even been through, but it's still, it's my story. It's my truth. And it helped me to get it out and share it. And my greatest joy comes from hearing that I've helped somebody else in some way. So I'm like, if that was the purpose of this, then, you know, that gives me joy, and that's it makes me super excited. But we were talking about, you know, again, women, and Black women in particular, you know, carrying the weight of the world and on our shoulders, and what does our self-care and our self-love look like? So I actually on Valentine's Day just dropped the Fly Journal. This is my book, so ignore that. But it's the Fearlessly Love Yourself Journal. So for me, it's time for us to fly. It is time for us to fearlessly love ourselves into the life that we deserve. It is 30 days I curated of self-care affirmations, activities, and journal prompts for us to just really, you know, think about what our self-talk sounds like. You know, how are we loving on ourselves? And it's very simple things to do. So I'll just give you like an example.
Yeah.
So each day I have it, again, it's 30 days. So each day has it's to say, to do, to write. So our to say is going to be our affirmation for the day. Our to do is going to be our small self-care activity, and to write is going to be our journal prompts. And then our self-accountability comes in when we think about, you know, what are we grateful for? What did we eat today? How much water did we drink? Did we get some exercise or meditation in? A reflection for the day. And then even our sleep, because I struggle with that. And I feel like it's hard to function when you're not sleeping well.
Right.
And then it just has a blank page, you know, just for your thoughts for the day. So it's 30 days worth. And I'm super proud of it. I've been getting really good feedback on it, and
that's amazing.
That's amazing. I need to go grab one.
Yeah.
It's go to Fly Girl Fibro. It's available on Amazon. If you have Prime, you'll get it in 2 days. I'll probably be doing a challenge where we'll all kind of work through it together. So
awesome.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And I love, like I said before, I just love the fact that we're just not taking what life gives us, and we're like, no, we're going to transmute all of this energy, negative, whatever it is, and I'm going to make it into what I want. And
exactly.
That's like, women, like, I swear, I can just feel the energy. Like, all of the women are just getting into their goddess energy. And it's like, doing this now. Like, we're no longer worried about, you know, Instagram nonsense, gossiping stuff. We're on self-care, self-love, self-development journey.
Right.
That's what we're on. And like we said, like, these other people got to catch up. It's like, if you want to be around the goddess, if you want to be around this energy, which you can benefit from too, you're going to have to do what it takes to be in my presence. And and to even curate this book and be able to like set it up like that. Like, I was even, I'm going through the process of writing a book too. So I'm like, even watching you, that's just like super inspiring.
Right.
Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And really how the journal came about is me just trying to find other tools to engage in so when people think about self-care, I think, you know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go get a mani-pedi. Massage. And that's, yes, absolutely do that, because those things accompany our self-care, but it's so much deeper than that, you know. And like I said, what does our self-talk sound like? You know, how are we thinking about ourselves? So even thinking something like, you know, describe, if somebody says describe yourself, but how do you describe yourself in a loving way, in loving words? You know, so like the same time, compassion, care, love that you would pour into your best friend, are you pouring that into yourself? And so me just trying to find a tool because like a lot of these journals, and, you know, no shade, but it's just like, okay, the same page copied over and over and over, or just like a book of blank pages. I'm like, this is not really getting me anywhere. So I kind of created something that I would want, you know, to help me engage in that and have that self-awareness and that self-accountability too. So that's really where the journal was born. And like I said, I've been getting great feedback on it. So that makes me so
amazing.
And to give you the affirmations and give you something to do and give you something to write, it gives you the opportunity to really dive into what that affirmation means to you, which then makes you unlock it even deeper. Right. And we practice that in yoga, where it's like, you know, just the simple idea of breathing, and people look past that and say, oh, it's just a breath. But like, that breath is what sustains your life here. That breath is actually the key to your existence in this physical reality. So what does that breath mean to you? And then it's like, that unlocks a whole different level of thinking. So when you break down like affirmations, it could, you know, you could be like, oh, I am beautiful, I am this, I am that. But then it's like, what does that mean though?
Yeah, just don't say words. You got to actually feel it.
So that by the time the 30 days is up, that's a huge transformation. I actually, I would try that. I would definitely try it. I could definitely try it out.
Yes, we will be on Amazon. Check it out.
I love it. Yes. So and like I said, it's real simple because I didn't want to make it too complicated, just because it's just, you know, how busy we all are, but we still got to take that time. So even like one of them, it's like, Queen, light some candles and take a long hot bath. That seems but it's like, do that today.
But who does that? A lot of people don't do that.
Right.
That's what
they're taking a shower and they're
like,
gone.
I got to get out of here quick. Like even when Seven came on, he's like, how many people really like even lotion their feet? Like take the time. He's like, women will do that sometimes, but like people just like, oh, okay, rub it on. Okay, I'm done. Next task. It's like, that was supposed to be a pleasure. That was supposed to be something that you know, you're caressing your skin. You're supposed to showing love to yourself.
Love to yourself, right. And a lot of us struggle with that.
Even to do our hair, sometimes you can catch people just combing their hair, and it's like they're not actually like, you know, taking the time. Like, this is actually your hair. Like, you gotta take your time with everything that you do. It's a
like
rough.
My getting ready ritual. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, because especially with kids, we like running out the door and stuff. But if I have the time, or like when I'm getting ready, like I went last night and had a couple of drinks with my girlfriends, and that's a part of self-care and self-love. Surrounding yourself with love and have some drinks. But when I get ready, honey, I'm turning my music on.
Right.
I think I'm Beyonce, girl. I be stuff, my curls. I'm like,
you need the energy, girl.
Because you gotta like gas yourself up. Like, I've been girl. It's cute, girl. Yes, I'm feeling it. Like,
I'm about to let me get this.
Listen. I mean, all I know, somebody walked in like, what is she? I know. Well, my kids probably used to it now, but I be in my bathroom.
Yeah.
But you know, that's actually what I found. Like, those things, it's the women, especially women who do those things, they're the ones who get the most attention. They're the ones who get noticed, and guys like them the most, because it's like, you love yourself so much that I can't help but to love you. Right. It's like, you make me love you because you love you so much. And me personally, I love confident people. If I'm around anybody confident, I'm like, yes, like, I love your energy. Like, I don't care if everybody thinks you're arrogant. I'm like, whatever, I believe in you. Keep going. Like,
and I think where sometimes we got it messed up is like, confidence don't necessarily got to be cocky. Right? Because like
energy, that
it's the energy. You could be, and I always say this, like, I used to model back 30 pounds and about 3 kids and 15 years ago. And my thing was, I wouldn't do any modeling. You probably cannot Google. Maybe one time you could Google me in like a swimsuit. I didn't do any modeling. Like, I'm like, I was always like conscious of what the internet, and I'm like, But my thing was, I can be the sexiest in here and be fully covered up.
We were just talking about that. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yes. And don't get me wrong, though, because I don't want people to think, because I'm definitely not bashing, because I'm like, any woman, do you. Do what feels good in your skin. It ain't about modesty versus, I'm just saying, for me, I'm like, I could be fully covered and be like the baddest in the room because of my confidence. Because of how I my energy, because I do love and light. You know what I mean? So
Right. And I do want to bring about the sexiness. Me and Isabel were just talking about it and how it actually doesn't define you as, it's just like, it makes people want to have a sexual thought of you. Like, it's not really like, oh, you're sexy and I want to, like, men are not going to actually want to spend their whole life with a sexy woman. Like, usually to me, they usually marry a woman that is covered up. Like, their woman is basically, you know.
But I think that for me is like, that's the trick of society in these days. It's like over sexualizing the woman and everything, even like the boutiques and stuff, like the clothes that we see is like very tight, very cut out, very, you know, revealing. And that actually works not in the woman's favor. And I think that's where it's like, it's not that I'm saying be modest, but I say actually see the message that you're putting out, because it's mostly the women who are the most, I would say, that would be considered beautiful to men or anybody, is not the woman who's dressed the sexiest. It's actually the woman who's just the most confident, who has a smile, who looks like she's in her own world.
So that confidence.
It really be that just like, oh, like I said, it's not that anything else out of a person, like people, their confidence can really like make me like, I'm going to talk to you. Like, what's up? You confident?
You putting out that confident energy. And two, I think, you know, with just social media and everything, I just want my women, like, don't do anything for the gaze of a man, honey. Like, wear what you want to wear. Do it for you first. So even if I do want to switch.
But what you said is true, because we're in LA, right? So there's like a bunch of beautiful women, like everywhere. There's, you know, a lot of plastic surgery, a lot of augmentations going on and stuff like that. And we'll be walking down the street, right? Or we were hiking, and we saw a beautiful woman. And this girl, she was really beautiful. She even had like a little bit of makeup on while she was hiking. I was like, okay. And we're walking like directly across from each other. So I'm looking at her, I'm smiling, waiting for her to look up. She would not put up her head. She just kept on walking with her head down because she saw us coming. Like, I saw you, you saw me, and I'm looking at you. I can smile at you because I'm like, you're cute. And you know, I'm just nice like that. Like, I like to hype people up sometimes. So, and then it happened again with another beautiful girl. And then me and her was like, they won't look you in your face. And it's
they're
like,
not confident.
It's that insecurity is like, no matter, that's where social media is really hurting women. Is like, you can have 1 million likes, but in real life,
you got love
for yourself. You gotta love yourself. Anything that you're putting out,
put your head down where you can't face another woman that you may think is beautiful too, that, you know, doesn't have a problem with you, but it's like, I won't even face you because I don't even want to face myself. And it's like the trick of social media. It's like, you think, oh, this person's confident, they're beautiful, they do all of this, they're revealing. And it's like in real life, where I've seen it so many times, the girls who are more provocative, even in swimsuits on social media, don't have, you know, a relationship that's ideal, don't have the confidence to back it up, are going through severe depression, even going through suicide. And that's been coming up. I mean, even one of our closest friends, like right now, especially, is like the depression is on.
The mental health.
And it's like, a lot of women, our psyche is being attacked because it's like, are we supposed to look like this? Are we supposed to look like this? But my face and my body, and am I supposed to be revealing like this? And it's like,
and I don't have anybody who actually really loved me, and they only want this.
They only liking my photo. Fake love. It's a heart, but it's just like, it's not like I loved it. So it's like, in reality, you're searching for, oh, I want more likes. But it's like, well, who loves you?
Right. And that's all goes back down to that self-love. Because it shouldn't even matter. It shouldn't even matter all those likes, right? So it's like, when we get to a place of like loving ourselves enough that it don't even matter. Like, I'll put something up and get 10 likes. I'm like, I don't care because I liked it.
Me too.
The partner, the man that's for me, honey, he gonna love this little gut. I don't have 3 babies, this C-section scar, honey. I'm getting older, my butt getting a little flatter. It is what it is. Like,
but when you see men and the one that they married is not the one that you've seen on social media. With the big old booty. It's not that. It's the woman who's actually beautiful.
Because, and then also when you speak to their wife, you're like, oh, I see the reason why he married you. You know what I mean?
And it was like, it had nothing
to do with your body, it's the confidence and how you present yourself.
How much you love yourself.
Right.
That's the main thing.
That's the key.
Like, because people could see that. It's like if somebody loves themselves, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way where it's like I respect and love myself enough that I can love and respect you, and I don't care. Like I'm not doing it on any merit to you, or this is just how I am. People love that. They're like, wow. You know,
and the thing is too, is like when we really get to a place, and this is where even like therapy comes in and just addressing our mental health. When we really get to a place of loving ourselves, we're going to see the types of things that we accept and don't accept, and we welcome into our lives. That's the biggest thing. Cause I think I always been a type like, yeah, I love me some me. I love me. And then when I really reflect on that, I'm like, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. I wasn't loving me because I wouldn't have allowed the things that I allowed to keep happening in my life. Boundaries constantly being crossed, even not just like in relationships, but just like family relationships, friends, like people taking advantage of me. You know, I have a very big, gracious heart. Like, so if Trina really loved Trina, she wouldn't even allow any of those things to happen. So it all starts with that self-love. Like, it's so important just in so many aspects. And I think people downplay how important that is. And that's my mission. I'm like, I want us to, as particularly again, us Black women, like we have to engage in better self-care and self-love, because it's going to affect everything that we got going on around us.
Yeah. And I do want to speak on top of that is like, even what that looks like is like, it's not even always that fun. Like we had like a do what's best for you challenge. And what that meant was like, what's best for you isn't always the funnest thing to do. Like I barely ever feel like working out. I hate going through my workout, but I do it because I know it's best for me. And that's part of my self-love. And it's like, and then I get in the flow and then I feel proud of myself and like I accomplished it, I did that. Or it's like sometimes, like you said, it's as simple as I don't even feel like washing the dishes in there. But it's like what I have to do. It's like the small accomplishments, and then also staying to my commitments. These are all levels of self-love where it's like they may be small and annoying, but those are what kind of shapes, like even I always feel like even making your bed in the morning, it's like those little things is like, but you respect your house, like even cleaning your house. And it's like, but if somebody was coming to visit you,
everything's cleaned up.
You would make it super perfect. Want anybody to see that you have flaws.
You're
but it's like, but for yourself, you can have all the flaws, you can have it all out and do all that, but it's not. So you're not worth you cleaning all of this. You're not worth this being its best that it can be.
Right.
And so even like self-love, I think that, like you said, it gets like, oh, it's just manicures and stuff like that. But it's even the annoying things, the hard things, the things that you don't want to do. It's like, you know, it's best for you. And it's like,
it's like at the end of the day, we have to do our work. It's really that simple. Like, you have to do your work, your healing work, whatever work that you need to do that you can be your best self and live your best life on your terms, though. That's the thing. Like, my best life might not look like your best life, and that's okay. You know, and even with how we're talking about social media and like that comparing, and we got to get out of that. Like,
that's why I turned off of social media, because I was like, I'm way too, like, I got off social media like 2 years ago, and I was like, I can't do that. It came to the realization, I was like, I am looking at way too many fake people that I'm thinking that, you know, I need to be like, oh, this person's like this. Maybe I need to post like this. Maybe I'm like, first of all, I'm not even an influence type of person. Don't try to influence me. I do the influencing, if anything. It's like, don't try to influence me. It's like, in the real life, which I, you know, continue to see, especially in LA, they always reveal, I've learned so much here. And the main thing that I continue to see is like, it's never what you think it is. It's like, this person, you may see her and you'd be like, oh my God, she has the clearest skin online. And then you see her in person and it's just like acne filled and it's just makeup on top of it. And you're like, this is not what it is. But it's like, but she has so many followers. But in real life, it's like, she couldn't even sit and have a conversation with you. She's so awkward. And that is like a reoccurring thing where it's like, what your real life look like? What's your real self-love look like? What is the real you look like?
The real you. And that's the work that we gotta do.
Not your representative. Not your AI, not your representative, the real you.
Right.
And it's like, no, I can't show you the real me. And then sometimes when people do show them the real them, it's just for clout. So
and I think that's why my followers and the people, like, I am transparent, so I think that's why people tend to gravitate towards my message and just what I'm doing, because I'm very transparent. Like, like I said though, and I'm gonna get into, you know, telling people kind of why Fly Girl kind of took a back seat for the last year, because my depression got really bad. You know, So I wasn't active, but the minute that I decided to like, okay, let me get back to this, we right back where we left off. So, and that, you know, that's exciting to me. And I love that I have that support. But I mean, in all honesty, like the pandemic, and the thing is like, it's always the ones that, you know, everybody deems like, oh, she's so strong. And, you know, but I was a mess. I'm not gonna lie. This past year was a mess. Like my depression and, like I said, the death of my brother and just being in the house with these kids and virtual school and trying to work from home. I'm like, this is too much.
Right.
It's too much.
Yeah. And it's surprising, like I said, that you could even make, because I mean, for me, it was like I was already a hermit. A lot of the things didn't really change that much for me personally, but I'm like, for a lot of people, I've seen it, like people passing away, close friends passing away because, you know, of overdosing and things like that, where it's like, it's depression. It's you were going
it's a silent depression that people are going
through. That was the crazy thing, because when our close friend, he passed away from an overdose a couple of weeks ago. And we started looking back at, you know, his social media posts, and it was like the signs were there, but we didn't, you know, it's like, wow, this person was really depressed. They kept on drinking. They kept on doing these things. This was the call out right there. And then it's too late now, but it's like, there's always signs of that. And it's just like, people just hide it and keep it in. And that's the part that kind of kills you, is like the outlet.
And that's another reason that I do speak about mental health, and I'll put that in my book, is because, like I said, a lot of people might look at me and like, what? She deal with depression? Like, you know, because I get up, do what I got to do, put my face on, got my red lip. Listen, I always got my red lip on. That makes me feel, I'm like, listen, my red lip.
It looks good.
It looks great.
It looks good. You look great with it.
I used to be really insecure about my lips. So that's oh yes. I don't know. I'm like, my lips, I'm like, they're so fat, and I don't know, but they're not. Like, I would not wear no color on my lips. It would be plain lip gloss, honey. Now I'm like putting every color, but again, that's me, and that's it, growing in my self-love. But that's why I talk about the mental health, because I want people to understand, like, it's okay. Again, it's okay to not be okay. And it's the people that you wouldn't always necessarily think, you know, got this going on. And just breaking that stigma of what people think illness is supposed to look like. Like, it doesn't have a face, or just because I'm not in a wheelchair, or, you know what I mean? Like, what people typically think disability or illness or sickness looks like. It looks like me and you, regular, you know, working girls trying to raise our families and build our brands. And some of us are struggling. But the thing is just like, we can't live in that space. And that's my messaging, is like, I just want us to do what we need to do to feel better, engage in that self-care and that self-love, and then spread it and spread that love and light.
I love that. Well,
wait, are you guys twins? You guys
are twins? Why? Because we keep repeating ourselves.
Y'all been repeating and saying the same. I'm like, is that like a twin thing?
No, it is kind of. We're probably a twin, like, somehow, but
we're like a year and a couple months
apart. But my mom actually made her for me, so maybe sometimes she'll just copy me and say the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually what my mom tells us, that I was made for her.
So she is my twin.
A lifelong companion.
Right, exactly.
But it's good because, like you said, when you have that foundation of your soul tribe, that's why I like to call it. And when it's like, you can manifest so much, especially when you have people that you trust and that back you and what you want. We spoke about the mastermind and just expanding on, like, the things that you are able to do, the things that you can manifest in this world. It's like, you don't have to be a victim to your circumstances. And we kind of spoke about that. I
thought we was going to make like a
separate thing about that.
Yeah, I know. But we'll talk about that another thing. But I think it's a good time for her to hear it, just in case.
Because we were talking about, like, even when you're spending money, like the way that you do things, do you do it as a victim or a victor? Are you in victory when you do these things, or are you the victim? So it's like, oh, I got to pay my bills, right? And it's like, I don't have any money. I just paid all my bills. And it's like, but so that sounds like you're a victim to your bills. And instead of saying, like, oh my God, all my bills are paid. I'm up to date. Like I got all this. I'm good. Now your money is like, oh, I was used to be a victor to give you victory. Like we're in victory mode. Instead, like, a lot of the things that we use, we got to understand when our energy transfers to that thing and gives that thing energy. So whatever it may be, relationships, money, job, whatever it is you're building or creating, it's like that energy that you're putting into it, because
it needs to be in that victory level, because if you're living in victim, you're just gonna
create more victim. And every time that you get money, it's gonna be something that you're gonna feel a victim to. You're never gonna receive it.
And I think that goes into why in my book I have that line for today I'm grateful for, because it really also goes in hand with living a grateful life and a thankful life. So we can be, you know, dang, I'm broke because I paid all my money, or be paid all my money to these bills, or be grateful. Like, yeah, I might not, but I got a place to live. I got my kids got food. We got clothes on our back. So I'm grateful for that.
Right.
You know, so it's just a lot of it is mindset.
Yep.
You know, and the way that we choose to.
And I even like the way you just said that, I remember, and it's crazy because I'm thinking in my head and I'm talking out loud. So so like I was saying, like a lot of people like pray, and when they're in their prayers, they're always asking for something, right? It's like, I need this, I need this, I need this. Me personally, I'm not really a prayer, but I write a grateful journal every day. And I say what I'm grateful for. I never really ask for anything. I just speak about what happened and what I'm grateful for and how it's thing. And then it just continues to expand. And I think that's the trick, is like so many people are taking the time to connect with, you know, universe, self, God, everything. And it's just to ask. And it's like, but never really being grateful. And there's so much power in being grateful. It's like when you're grateful, you know, when somebody's grateful for something you did to them, you want to do it again for them. You're like, oh, I'm going to do that again for you, because you're not grateful. You make me want to do it again. Like, I felt good. Like, you know, and I think that the little things, the common sense things that like we brush past, be the things that like, wow, if I just did that instead, like even the money thing, like if I just looked at it in that situation, because a lot of the negative stuff that we get and experience, it's our own doing. Like even like the vampire, right? The vampire comes in and drains your energy, sucks your blood, but you have to let them into your house. You have the power to be like, nah, you're not invited in. So it's like we continue to invite that vampire into our house.
And the thing about that is, you know, a way to look at that when you're thinking about your self-care is boundaries. So, you know, having healthy boundaries, and I always say, if you do end up following, I'm always talking about protect your peace. Protect your peace. And that's all part of our self-care, is like having those healthy boundaries, letting those energy vampires, those negative, them Debbie Downers, like, listen, I don't have time for that. I don't need that energy in my space. And, you know, not to say, you know, I was talking about my dad earlier, and I struggle with the relationship that we didn't get to have. I said that before. But part of that is because I'm so in tune to energy. When he would reach out, and I struggle with the guilt of this, because I'm like, well, should I feel guilty? But I was doing what I felt like I needed to do to protect my energy. But my dad, like, his energy wasn't good all the time. So I'm like, I'm gonna kind of keep you at arm's length. Like, I could love you and love you from a distance, but I really don't want that energy.
Right.
And, you know, and I can't feel bad. So I struggle with that, because it's like, you know, that's still your dad, but it's just like, I got to protect my peace. I got to protect the energy in my the energy of my children. So, you know, even like I said, family members. So when we think about like those relationship boundaries, it's not even just in a, you know, those like romantic relationships. It's those families, those brothers, those sisters. I'm very, and me and my mom just had this conversation, and I've had this conversation, and I don't think people always understand or see eye to eye when I say, but I'm like, listen, family or not, if you disrupted my peace, you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go. Like, I can't do it. I don't care who it is. And that's, you know, 26-year-old Trina was like, yeah, everybody, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna do this. 36-year-old Trina is like, oh no, you stay, keep that over there. And that's all part of our self-care, right? Our healthy boundaries. But it's all as you learn and grow and elevate, you know.
And people really respect that. Right. People respect people who have boundaries, because it's like, then they know Wow.
They can't cross this.
I can't cross that.
And I do enjoy your friendship. I do enjoy, who you are. So I'll leave you at a distance. And when we connect, we connect. And I also use this analogy with the airplane. Like, aren't you supposed to take care of yourself first before you help another person?
Yep.
Right.
So you got to do the same thing in your relationship, on your friends, your family, everybody, your business leader as well. It's like, I'm not going to,
and they ain't going to like it. And that's fine.
No. But you don't got to worry about that because it's our time. It's our season.
Right.
It's self time.
And it's not like we always say this, and it's just like, you're the star of your own show, of your own movie. Everybody else, that could be a supporting actor, but everybody else is background. And you could be a supporting co-star now, but I could push you to background or kill off. Like, you are not the star of this show. That is my show. The same way I don't expect to be the star of my friend's show. Like, I know you have your own show going on. And I think that's respecting the boundaries too. Just knowing, like, I have my own, life going on, and I'm not going to try to impose my life on you and project my situations on you. And I hope you don't do the same to me.
Right.
Because if you do, you're done.
Right. And too, like, and this is always like when I say this. So I'm also like, I do my best as a mom. Right. But I'm not the mom. I'm just going to keep it 100 with y'all. I'm not the mom that's going to stress and strain for my kids. I'm just not going to do it. I do the best that I can. They know that I love them. I try to project it, but I'm not the mom that's going to be like, I don't do it. But that's part of my self-care. Like, I do the best that I can. And I try, but it's just like, I'm not going to overextend myself for my children. And I know how that sounds. And I wish I could explain it in a better way. But
I love that you said that, because you have boys, and I feel as though I hate it, but women, when they have boys and they're the only ones raising them, they baby them, and then we have to deal with them, and then they're mama's boys. And by you not doing that, they know I gotta be a man. They're gonna take their role more seriously rather than being more like, oh,
depending
my mom is gonna take care of it, and even though you do. But they learn better that way.
Yeah, and I think it's like a lot of moms do that, because it's like, we want to make sure that our kids, like, we want to just love on them and and shield them from a lot. But like I said, I keep it
that's detrimental to boys. Yeah, I think that's detrimental to boys though, because I think
especially when we date them,
the real world, especially before women, because they got to come out here and they got to be, providers. They got to be tough. Men are literally like, it's important that they learn how to be men. And women can't like just continue to try to protect them. Let me protect you and protect. And it's like, no, you're gonna have to learn how to be the protector.
Just like
yeah.
But too, I think too, a lot of especially those of us that are moms of boys, the other thing that I do try to do is make sure that they know that this is a safe space. And I never want them, like, I'm not the mom, if they're crying, I'm not, stop crying, you're being like, no, it's okay for y'all to cry, it's okay to have emotions. I want you to express your emotions, but do it in a way, in a healthy way, and try to talk your things out. So that's important too, because I can see the difference when I've dated men that are raised just by their mamas. And then I meet a man that's raised by both parents. Oh, you can see the difference.
It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. And it depends on even what kind of father they were raised with.
That too.
If they had both parents, but that dad wasn't, stepping up, and the mom still had to step up, then you're not. It's a huge difference too.
Yeah, you can definitely tell.
And it's like that. I think is. I know we're speaking about the woman's journey, but I think that a lot of men who tend to listen to us too, because you're actually the first female guest that we've had.
Oh, really?
And so thank you
for coming in. We've been trying our best to get a female, but we got the best female in town, the fly girl, Miss Fly Girl.
We can do this again. Yes. Yes.
But I think it's just like important, like I said before, is like we're doing all of this work, and it's like, men, you have like, you got to step it up, because these fly girls out here.
Let me tell you. When I started all this, and I do a lot of vending, obviously before COVID. I do a lot of vending events and like women's empowerment events. Either I'll go speak or I vend and sell my book. And then sometimes I get like the husbands, like I was down at Essence actually, and I had a booth at like a sister event at Essence. And, you know, a lot of men they go with their wives.
Right.
I kept getting, you know, I'm like telling their wives about the book and everything. And the men will be like, wow, like that's dope. Like, man, we don't have nothing like that. Right. So summer 2019, I did a whole summer self-care series. So each month I had some type of self-care event. Because I kept hearing from men, we don't have nothing like this. Don't nobody do nothing. I created a whole event for men. Do you know I sold like 5 tickets?
Wow.
So like, y'all can't.
They didn't even want to hear.
They don't want to do it.
Too. Like it can't just burn us. And somebody else said, "Oh, I know that journalist for women." I said, "Yeah, it's geared towards women." And I said, so if I created one, and this is a guy friend, I said, so if I created one for men, because I want to, and I wanted to, and I've been trying to do research around it. I said, but would you actually buy it and engage in it? And he's like, yeah, probably not. Right. So you can't sit here and say how there's no tools for y'all if you're not going to be willing to do the work.
Exactly. And that's what it comes down to. And I think it's because they feel as though they don't need to do the work. Right? They feel as though that there isn't a problem. And it's like,
that's not all men. That's not all men.
Definitely not.
And I don't like to talk. I don't want to be racist or anything like that. I hate to get into that. But was it our melanated men that told you that?
Yeah, because most of the events that I'm at is usually like, you know, our Black and brown people. So it is usually the fellas that, you know, they like what I'm doing and they like my messaging. And they can even relate. They can relate because once I talk about my book and like trauma, because they've seen trauma and depending from where they come from. I mean, Milwaukee, like we got one of the 53206 is like the most highly incarcerated zip code in like the nation, honey. Like Milwaukee, we have our issues. So you know, our school, our education, our unemployment rate is very high. So it's definitely stuff going on here that, you know, that they live through. And it's like, but you know, you have to take the time and recognize that. And but then just to making sure that, you know, I think that they sometimes lack like where these resources are. So I am trying to get more also into including them in some of this because the message is universal. Like self-care and self-love is universal. I just think that people tend to think it's only women that engage in that. It's like no.
It's just more I think it's just more popular with women because women are in tune. We feel that we need to do something. I remember this guy, he asked me, he was like, why do women, you know, want to be celibate? Like, and I was like, well, it's usually because she probably went through a really breakup or something like a major thing happened in her life. And she's, you know, now in her
trying to cut them soul ties.
And she's like cutting it off. She was like, but so she can't focus on herself and still like be sexually active with, you know, a man. And I'm like, what men don't seem to understand is that women have a whole different process in here. And when you come into us, when you're into our insides, that's a whole energy in itself. We take on your energy. So by a woman cutting off you and no longer wanting to take on your energy and only deal with her energy, that's what she's doing when she doesn't want that. And I feel as though a lot of men just don't understand, you know, what women go through is like, it's so much more. It's like, the internal pains, not only I know you go through internal pains, but you know, all women, we bleed, we go through aches and pains that men have no idea about, don't even know what it feels like. And all of our pain is internal, whether it be mental, emotional, things that men won't even deal with. It's like, it's in our head. We're tapped in, we're in the spiritual world already. We're like, we're dealing with this emotional energy, and then we got to be logical because we got to be in, you know, man's world and be, you know, what they want us to be. And then it's just like, but I still have all of this. And I think women are just like, I got to cut that stuff off and I got to go with me.
And then we, you know, we carry a lot of that in our wombs.
Which turns around and gives us all type of issues in there, in that part too.
We carry a lot of that pain and that trauma and that energy in our wombs. So then that's just another part of our healing is looking into like womb healing as well.
And that is so important. Womb healing, you know, all that healing. Women, I love it. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, it's amazing to hear, like, because it sounds like you're on the same journey that we are on, like that self journey where you're literally understanding, like, even that wound. There's a lot of our listeners, maybe, that have no idea on those sense of urgency of how much we need to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And do you have any like suggestions on like womb healing? Or
so and I'm probably gonna, I always say it wrong. Is it the yoni steaming? Do y'all have that out there? That's like getting real popular here. We have, so like yoni steaming is great for that. It's like a first step in our womb healing. I'm still learning, to be honest, because that is newer for me, even learning about it within like the last year, about how much trauma and pain we carry in our wombs, and like how that just radiates, and spills out into our lives. So I know yoni steaming is one thing. I've tried it. Actually, it's pretty, like, I'm like, okay, I could get into doing this more often. Doing that steaming, and but I'm sure like there's herbs and things like that. I don't know for sure because I'm still learning myself. But yeah, I think even the first step, just acknowledging it, like, okay, it's some womb healing that needs to go on.
Right.
How do we?
Right.
And even like you said, like, I think even, I know you were talking about healing with your dad, but like healing that divine masculine inside of you, and healing that divine feminine, and healing your inner child, and healing, there's so much past trauma that was passed on to us from our parents, our ancestors, and all of this stuff that like we're unpackaging, even trauma that's not even ours. It's like, this was my mom's situation and it spilled into my life, and now I got to deal with it. It's just like uncovering it all and be like, this is not my situation. I let go of it.
Actually,
I transmute it with something, to turn it to something else, because and it's that acknowledgement of being like, I can do that. That's an option. And I know, like, even with your dad's passing, it's like you can still go into that meditation and and connect and be able to heal that stuff. So I never think that it's too late to heal those past ties. And
not at all. It's never too late to begin your healing journey. And I think, the first step is just recognizing that it needs to be done. I think that's where a lot of us struggle, because we just keep pushing through life like, I'm good. Me and my mom have had this conversation more than once, and she's probably watching, or she's gonna watch, because she's super supportive. And I'm like, Mom, you got healing work. And she's like,
hi, Mom. Thank you for having Trina.
And we've had this conversation, and I'm like, Mom, you might, guys, she'd be like, I'm good. And that's I think that's their generation too.
Yeah.
That generation is very like, you suck it up, you keep it moving. But yeah, just recognizing, first of all, that the work needs to be done. And then, like I said, even with the fibro, with healing, it's not one size fits all. So it's like you tapping in to figure out what your healing looks like, what that, what your day-to-day, what your tools, like, how are you going to engage in that? And, and as long as we just like chipping at it a little bit each day, it's like, you start to feel better.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to have you and for you to come on and like, definitely vibe with us. And like, we've been talking for
we don't want to keep you so long.
I know, it's a different time zone over there. So you're in snow?
Yes, girl. It's snow and cold, and I'm actually planning a big move. I'm actually going to be closer to y'all. So
where you going to be?
We'll have to. I'm actually planning to go to Arizona. So,
okay, that we can meet, and we can do another one in person. COVID should be done, right?
Yes, right. By the time, listen.
But I do think, like, even when you get into the healing stuff with moving, it's like, we grew up in Boston, so one of the main things the reason why we moved to LA, Los Angeles, about 6-7 years ago was lifestyle and weather. And I think people don't realize like how important that is. Your environment, even down to the weather, even down to the energy of the people around you.
That's vitamin D. Now here, and you probably know from Boston, like, our sunlight is so limited.
Right.
And that, it kicks in that seasonal depression for a lot of people.
Right.
Yep. And we never, so like yesterday, I think it was like almost 50 degrees. Like everybody was out and about, like just getting some of that sun and that vitamin D. Because even my mood, I was just like, I'm feeling really good today. So I'm looking forward to having more of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we can't wait till you come to Arizona.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna
be speaking that into existence, honey. We put that out to the universe.
Yeah. So your son is going to be going. So you're going to have 2 of the boys by that time?
Yep. So I just, I think my oldest son might still come, and we're looking into colleges out there.
Awesome.
I'm really trying to encourage him though to go to a HBCU. I just think that would be a great experience for him. But yeah, he's looking. It's the whole family, honey. My mama, we all going. We all like.
That's awesome.
It's a whole family move, so we're so excited. So actually, that's kind of an announcement because a lot of people don't even know that I'm.
Okay. Forget about it. Don't listen to her. That's between us.
I'm very low key. I don't like to announce things, but I just like to get up and do it.
Get them done.
Yeah.
But it's a good announcement. So,
I know it is a good announcement.
And I love that.
And I think it's because we're flowing and we forgot that we're even live.
Right. That we're even.
Our girlfriends. We're like, girl, where you gonna be at?
But I love that you're doing on this journey with your mom, because even with us, when we started our self-care and self-love journey, our mom came in maybe 2 years after that when she retired. And it's she had my mom was a nurse, so she was like, I work, I do this. Her whole life was surrounded by her work because she loved what she did, and that was her life. And then
my
it was
mom's a nurse too.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
That's crazy.
That's
awesome. Then she retired, and it's a whole new life started for her. And she was kind of having trouble with it. And it was it took us every day, having those conversations, it's okay. My mother originally came from Haiti, and she came to America and with my dad. And I always remind her, you came to this country, you didn't even know the language, you didn't have any idea of how you were going to do what you did, but you can still do it. And now this is your next opportunity to live your new life. Mom, I told her, you keep reborn, and you came here at 30. So you had your whole 20s, you had a whole different life for your 20s. You came here, you're 30. You had a whole different work life. You became a nurse, did all that. And now you're 60. You're in a whole different new life. You're lucky. You're having these new phases that a lot of people don't get the chance to do. And you get to do it. And I think it's beautiful that you're even doing that with your mom, where it's because sometimes, my mom doesn't want to hear what we have to say sometimes because she's a Sagittarius. So she just doesn't want to hear certain things come from other people.
She's girl,
because she's I'm the smart one. You can't tell me what is going on.
I think that's just a mama thing.
Yeah.
But then she sits back, and this is what I commend her on, is even if I may get on her nerves and I may say something that to her is too new age, and then she'll, sit on it and she'll really ponder the idea. And the next day she'll come back and tell me all of the ideas of what she got from that. And her actions change almost immediately.
Right.
And I was like, wow, you just took that, digested it, and changed. And I was I thought old people don't change, but it's nah.
You mean not old people?
Well, elders don't change.
The older generation, they they be stuck in their ways.
Yeah, they
are. But
I
think even the women, I think it's just women is just stepping up. Even the elders, it doesn't matter. It's women are really activating at this point, and it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah,
it is. Yes.
Yeah. So we don't want to keep putting
anything
you out there.
You want to say before we let you go?
No, this was great. So thank you so much, Fly Girls, for having me. Just make sure everybody, if you want to keep in contact, everything is at Fly Girl with Fibro, and you can always find me at flygirlwithfibro.com.
Okay.
Yes, guys, and we'll put this in the link on YouTube, and we'll put it her link in the comments when we get off of this live. So if you guys want to check that out. Thank you again.
Yes.
Nicole.
Thank you again. Yes, we will.
It was so great seeing you, and we'll see you and talk to you again. Can't wait.
Bye. Wow, that was such an amazing interview.
Yes.
Well, it was more of a connection and just, vibing and knowing what Fly Girl means, and really taking that time to give yourself that self-care and really care about yourself. Put yourself first for once. It's done thinking about other people and what's going on in their lives and what you can do to help them. Help yourself.
Right.
Help yourself.
So thank you again to Trina Nicole. Thank you, Tone Deaf, for setting it up. You guys can check us out on TDR Network, where you can find other podcasts that are just really great entertainment and really knowledgeable, especially things on the melanated community. And I hope you guys really like grew and learned from this conversation. And also, like, if you may be like Trina and wrote a book or did something and you want to come on the platform and talk about it, we are excited and happy to have you. I love these kind of conversations, from last week with Jackie to this week with Trina Nicole and Fly Girl.
Women are just thriving,
honey.
Thriving.
So
catch up, men, catch up.
I hope you guys liked it today. You know, follow all the social medias. You already know, Snapchat, all of that.
Hit up our Cash App. Send us that shmoney at $ Nothing's Wrong Pod. And yes, we
are. There goes Trina. Thank you, ladies. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you again,
Trina. We loved you. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yes. And always remember, guys, nothing's wrong. See you next time.
Bye.